side. Excited for my guy Scott McKinley and his whole crew to be stepping into the studio today. Man, we're doing this new thing every Friday, 2 to 3. Man, we talk about every angle, every aspect, every piece of traction related to what's going on in the cannabis side of the business. Because you know what? It affects a lot of people. And, you know, I hate to talk about people that are going through difficult times, but you know what? It's reality. And I've been hearing so many testimonials recently from people that are unfortunately not at a good place, where they might be, you know, going through depression, or they just might not be feeling to the best of their ability. And with that being said, you know, they rely on cannabis to make them feel better and ultimately get out of bed and be able to kick off the day. So that's what we talk about on this show. This is a feel-good type of show, everything that we're doing here. All right, a couple music news stories that we're going to try to touch on today. It's another busy show. Trey Songz, breaking news just came out from Trey Songz. He's officially off the hook in his DV case, so that's probably a good look for Trey Songz. What else is brewing today on the music forefront? Let's scroll down here and see. Unless my computer is like acting up. Like, why do computers need to act up when you're freaking on the air? The last time, you know, computers don't need to be acting up in moments like this. But until we get this computer working properly, we got my gal, my friend Lala from the Euphoria clothing brand. She'll be on the line with me to talk about some fashion. That's a really good brand based out of the Northwest, so we'll get her on. And then, of course, my guy Nasty Ness from Los Angeles. He'll be on the big show today. He works with a whole bunch of artists. My guy's the High Children. He works with national artists all over the map. And then, of course, we got Scott coming into the studio at 2 o'clock. So let's. I want to keep on schedule here. So we will call Lala, and she's of course with the Euphoria clothing brand, and we will speak to her. You know, it's a Friday afternoon. Why shouldn't we talk some good fashion today? You know, people going out this weekend. You know, you got to know what you got to. You know, you got to be knowing what you're going to want to wear. So Lala from the Euphoria clothing brand, we will call her right now and get her on the line. Is this the one and only Miss Lala? Hello,
Hello?
Lala. Hello, Lala.
Hey, there you go. Gotcha.
Is this the one and only Miss Lala?
Yeah, it is.
How you doing? You Miss Fashion Executive. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. You know, we tend to, you know, talk on social, and I see everything that you're doing out here in the Northwest with good old Euphoria clothing. And I said, you know what? I gotta make my first guest on the show today on a Friday afternoon show. We got to be talking about fashion. You know, I don't care where you're listening. We got people listening to us throughout the country, all over the place. And it's you know, we got to know what to wear. We got to know how to look proper. If we got, you know, a bachelor party, bachelorette party, birthday party, just taking the significant other out on a date tonight or this weekend, I said, you know what, we got to get Lala on from Euphoria to kick off this Friday afternoon show. So I appreciate you coming on board with us today via phone. Looking forward to having you in the studio here soon too as well. But let's get it kicked off. So welcome to the show, Lala, Euphoria clothing brand, Studio 110.live. Lala and I have known each other for some time. In fact, you allowed me to do something pretty darn cool. You had this really cool TV pilot commercial filmed, and you utilized myself, and you put me in that Lamborghini, and you put me on that rooftop, and we really shot a cool pilot for your brand.
Yeah, we did. We got you in the McLaren that we had. A couple of friends of ours came through really nicely on some really great pieces. We had a McLaren. We had a great location downtown in one of the nice, you know, apartment buildings up at the top looking over the waterfront. You could see the Ferris wheel, the water. Everything was beautiful. Vitamin D was actually there. And, of course, we had the film crew coming out from Platinum Rain, which was great. Those guys came through amazing. The clothing looked good. You made us look really great. So hey, really, our thanks is to you.
Well, I appreciate that, and shout out to Vitamin D. He was actually on the air with me this week, and man, that guy's got his plate full. He's working with a whole bunch of artists out here from the Northwest, and man, just doing what he does so well, and just getting the Northwest here on the map where it needs to be, on a respected level.
Absolutely. He actually, does a lot of stuff for us as well, whether it's, commercial music, anything that we absolutely need. He's always come through for us. So we were always in support of other people here in the community here in Seattle. So community is always really important to us here, especially for Euphoria. A lot of the people that we work with is community based. So whether it's somebody that we use for our branding, for music, for film, for video. Shout out to Notebook. He does a lot of work for us as well. So it does do a lot here, but we want to make sure instead of outsourcing so much from other places, we like to keep it in our backyard.
There you go. And let's get this kicked off here and really get into it, because I'm super excited to know and hear where the Euphoria clothing brand is right now, and ultimately where it's going to become and get to. So with that being said, let's kind of talk about how the Euphoria brand came into play. I know it's been out. It's been out for a while now, but talk about how you just kind of, had the proper mentality to kick off the brand, and all the ingredients that you ultimately put into it.
Yeah, absolutely. We started back in 2012. Rich Mathena and I, Rich is like my brother, we do a lot of things together, and we actually sat down. We wanted to start something that was going to be clean, consistent, something that was going to have some longevity. Instead of just having a bunch of pieces from here and there, we wanted to make sure that it had consistency, and that was the most important thing. Obviously, we're not the most flashiest, city in the world, but lifestyle is a very big, important part to that, especially being young professionals, young entrepreneurs. We wanted to make sure that what you wear is going to be something that you're going to wear lifestyle, whether you're going out, whether it's at the gym, whether it's every day, but keeping the colors consistent and whatnot. So we wanted to do something different. So we did. So everything that we had, we started out with snapbacks, of course, snapback hats. From there, we went from t-shirts. From t-shirts, we ended up going into button-ups. From button-ups, we went into jackets with different pieces of hardware, anything from accessories, which we have, bracelets, to lapel pins, going into. From there, it just kind of started to expand. So when we started, like anybody else, in kind of like the basement, startup. From there, it just kind of groomed, and we groomed it to grow in something completely different. We started adding new people to it. We brought in a few other people, Claire Thornhill, Cleveland Steele as well. And from there, we just continued to grow. Everybody had their great parts in helping brand. Everybody had their niche in what it is that we do in order to make this a really good, well-oiled organization and business. And that was really, really important. We all have our strengths, and that came in really key with everything that we were doing going forward. And so from there, we expanded. We ended up going to New York and got into some boutiques there. We also were able to do pop-up shops there. We actually started getting more branding with our dog line, which is my dog, Rakim. You'll see him on the site there. Famous little guy. Ended up getting into the hands of Angela Simmons, to Kate Triggs, to 808 Mafia, to larger people like that. Tony Shellman actually ended up championing us for a while as well. We're still in contact with that because we're actually doing a brand just for him, the Tony Shellman brand, of course, with Euphoria, which is going to be our golf shirt, which is going to be in the Black PGA hopefully this year. So it's been a big, big push. We actually did a big show actually at the Seattle Art Museum for a big launch for him because it was a big collaboration. So our marketing company, Salusa TV, came out from New York. We did a lot of work with them. It's been super amazing. And from there, we ended up getting a shop in South Center Mall. It's not our own, but we were part of it, called Kaido Clothing. And those guys have been awesome. And now we're going into Linwood. So we're slowly moving. As we're doing that, we're expanding the brand and actually changing a few things. So you'll be seeing some really great new summer, spring pieces coming up here pretty soon.
Well, that makes me just so happy to hear overall, because, just getting another, up and coming emerging clothing brand, originating out here from the 206, with your footsteps, and of course, Claire, and, my guy, Tony Shellman. Tony Shellman and I have been friends for so many years. I knew Tony when he was, back in the Mecca circle, and he was actually on the air with me. He was on the air with me actually this past week. So,
really?
Yeah, Tony was on the air with me, man. Nothing but love for Tony Shellman and respect. I mean, if there's one guy that knows how to do it, on the fashion tip in New York. I mean, the guy's working with T.I., he's worked with so many different celebrities. He is the guy.
Yeah.
He is the guy.
Yeah.
If you have the proper resources to be able to get in contact with Tony Showman, you are definitely in good traction. So
Absolutely,
that
absolutely. Yeah, he's been a definite blessing in some of the steps that we've taken, and helped groomed us into something a little bit better, clean, more streamlined, and definitely extremely motivated to continue forward. So we're really happy with that. Communication and
yeah.
obviously relationship.
Yeah, and if you're just tuning into the big show right now, Studio 110.live, Dirty Harry back at it, like I do, with my friend Lala from the Euphoria clothing brand on the line with me. We are live on there. And the thing I got to say, Lala, about you and Euphoria is, you're a prime example of a brand where you're not necessarily having to spend all the time and resources and energy to be able to really tap in and really figure out what people want in this marketplace. When you invited me to your most recent retail location out there at Westfield Town,
South Center. Yeah, Westfield. Yeah.
I still call it South Center Mall. I know you have to call it.
I know, I do too.
I know you have to call it like 14 names now, but I just call it South Center Mall.
Westfield Mall, South Center Mall, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So you had like a really nice button-up shirt in there. I remember it had like some purple and different colors, and it was on your back wall of the store. And it's like the first thing that I saw when I walked in the door, and I said, I bet you anything that's one of Lala's pieces. Because you know the demographics, the appeal that people are looking for when they go to the mall, whether they're trying to buy a button-up or an outfit to be able to go out, for the weekend or do whatever they do. So you've been able to tap into the market so well. With that being said, the current line on shelves right now locally, let's talk about some of the pieces right now that are available.
Okay, well, the pieces right now that are available, of course, we do still have our button-ups. We actually have a really great jersey knit button-up that we have. It's actually a button-up, and it's a jersey knit, so it's very comfortable. It's not anything that's going to be restrictive. It's very comfortable. It has a little bit of plaid in it, a little bit of, touch of burgundy. On top of that, we do have our splatter shirts. We will always carry our A-line sweaters, of course, very clean, very different colors, grays. Of course, we always keep with the grays and the light colors. Of course, we'll always have black because it is the Northwest. And of course, we're going more into the navy blues, whites, into the army greens and whatnot, just keeping in the staples of colors that we know will always be consistent. And that's super important. Always have a splash of color, of course. We always have some turquoises and whatnot. We also have dad hats that are now available as well. Of course, those are a big piece at those right now as well. And those are kind of sounding like hotcakes. We also just came out with our own socks. So we actually have some really great socks available as well. Shorts are coming out this month as well. So there's a lot of things, joggers and whatnot. So, new tank tops, everything that, again, we're going back and forth between something that you can go out in and something you can go to the gym in and something every day. So it's always, everything that we have is a European cut. So you'll always have something that's going to fit you. So we have everything from smalls all the way up to triple XL, because we know we do have some big guys out there, and they did get on me. They're like, come on, Lala, you got to have something for us too. So I made sure that I kept that in mind.
Well, you gotta have the Seahawks players, dipped in Euphoria clothing when they're walking in and out of the locker room when we're in the projected mindset when it's Seahawks season out here. So that's definitely an important attraction to put in place. If you had to kind of narrow it down to your top 3 or top 5 classic fits that are just selling off the rounder left and right that you're just having to constantly restock for the stores, what would those items be?
Actually, those are our dad hats right now. Our dad hats, our socks, our sweaters, our A-line sweaters, and our hoodies, of course, are always our big sellers. The new shirts that are coming out right now, you're going to see those. Those are really hot. We already have orders out for them right now. But you'll be seeing those. If you log on to euphoriathebrand.com and you put your email in, we're going to send you a discount code. The discount code is going to be able to give you something and an insight to some pieces that you won't see right now on the site. So these are going to be exclusive for people that go onto the site and are able to see those. So it's kind of like a sneak peek and an early order for people, obviously going with the Seahawk colors. I don't want to give too much of the tidbit because you got to see it.
Well, there you go. And hopefully maybe I'll have the opportunity to be your model. I mean, not that I'm a model in any way, shape, or form, but maybe you'll be able to utilize me to maybe we can do like a live fashion show here on the air in the studio. Can you imagine that? And get a couple gals in here wearing Euphoria clothing, do it live on the air, maybe do some giveaways, and we've got cameras in here so everybody can watch us, and I think it could be a great event, Lala.
I think you're right. We actually just launched our women's line, which is called We by Euphoria. So you're going to see some women's line finally coming out. Trust me, my ladies have been yelling at me. So trust me, I have you now in mind and on and ready. So absolutely, if you want to do that, let's collaborate.
No, absolutely. Let's get that on the show calendar. I'll let the team know to put that into product placement, and that's absolutely at its finest. What advice, Lala, would you give? Because there's a lot of designers out there that, some of them are, a lot of them are successful. Some of them are just, still going to school to be able to, put out their first, sample version of their item, whether it's a button up or a jacket or whatever it consists of for the allowed, the full kind of full circumference that they're, building out for their personal line. With that being said, what advice would you give to an up and coming fashion designer that's trying to be able to build a forefront like you ultimately trying to continue to build with Euphoria?
Actually, that's a great question. I just had a friend of mine, Endurance, from the creator of Cool. You'll see him around. He's one of the fashion bloggers in Seattle, part of the Seattle Gents. Really great guy. He's actually we've helped each other out quite a lot in that department. We had this conversation because he was on a panel, and it was something that was really, really important to know. Like, what is it that you need to know when you do that? What is it that you're going for? Only thing I can honestly tell anybody that's starting this, make sure that you're super, you know who you are, and you know what's going to set you apart from other people. What you bring out, make sure that what it is something that you believe in, but also that's something that's going to set you apart from others, because that's going to be the big thing. If anything I can tell anybody out there, you have to grind. It's not something that's going to happen, overnight, or you can sit on. If you really want this, it's an everyday grind, every day, everything. Marketing is important, all of that. So just keep those things in mind. Absolutely.
And what are some brands locally and nationally that you've got kind of some traction, that you've got your pulse on to current play right now?
Curator of what's it called? Cultivation of Cool is one of those. Cool is always coming up with some really cool things, of course. There's a couple other ones too out of New York. I can't think of them right off the top of my head, but I'm telling you, there's some really, really fresh ones coming out the grind right now.
And what do you feel like we're lacking, with me being a Seattle East Side based national show here, just speaking about the Northwest, but we can also add on just to, on a national projection here. What do you feel like we're lacking in the fashion business currently?
A little bit of edge, most definitely, but something that's going to be consistent with where we're at. Obviously, we're a more conservative, town. As much as people we try to pretend that we're not, we are. We do have that consistency, unfortunately. But you have to be able to have something that has an edge, that you can still do those things, and it's super important.
Yeah, and that's what I'm always telling my friends too. Like you gotta, like, I understand for a lot of people you are going out of your comfort bubble to a degree, but that's what people want to see. They do want to see that edginess, just that kind of more that raw look going into play. Maybe it's maybe it's a funky, sophisticated blazer with a fun hoodie, under it.
Right. It's just statement pieces. Honestly, you get a couple of good statement pieces, and you start to find those pieces that can go with pretty much anything. Those statement pieces are the pieces that are gonna, again, that's what you want to look for. Those pieces that set you, apart from other people.
Yep.
You don't want to look like everybody else with the same blazer and the same button up in the same, color wave all the time. And you could do that, but you need those statement pieces, and that's what we're known for. Those statement pieces, especially when we have our button ups that are completely different. You're not going to see those anywhere. You'll never see them anywhere in Seattle. That's part of the reason why we keep those, so quiet. And when we release them because we want to make sure that, one, you can see them with everything that you wear, whether it's, you can wear the button up with a pair of slacks, with a pair of jeans, with a pair of shorts. If you want to throw a blazer on it, you can. T-shirts that you can wear, like I said, at the gym. If you want to layer it up with a blazer, you can do that as well. But it's clean, but yet it has that slight edge that's going to separate you. That's super important.
So if you could have the opportunity to do a collaboration, speaking of fashion, with any designer out there, anywhere in the world, what designer, if you could, team up ultimately with one designer of choice, who would that designer be to be able to do a collaboration with?
Tory Design is one of my favorites, actually, out of New York. He's a leather designer. He does a lot of stuff for Busta Rhymes, Swiss Beats, and whatnot. He's the most inspirational guy I met when I was out there. His pieces, again, like me, I love those statement pieces, but just the way that he comes up with them is just amazing. So it's always something that you can't help but look at what he has coming, and you're always wanting more.
Yep, yep, and keep your track and keep your pulse. With all the shows that you have to go down to represent your brand. But you know what I want to see? I want to see a brand put out a fire engine, and you're gonna laugh because you and I have talked about this for years. But I want to see a fire engine red. Just the body of the jacket with some real sophisticated, top-notch hardware. I want the body of the jacket.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Yeah, yep. I want a fire engine red body, so that I want the body of the jacket to be red leather, and then I want the sleeves to be black. So I just know, like, believe me, there's enough people out there that would feel comfortable to be able to rock that to, like, an stadium or to any of the venues out here locally,
absolutely,
and all eyes would be on them. So.
Yep, absolutely. I completely agree with that. A lot of people out here in Seattle, I mean, we got some, sneaker snobs out here, definitely. And if you had something that would be able to, obviously complement what you have on your feet with a jacket like that, absolutely. That's part of the reason why I like Tori, though. You might want to look at him. He's got some amazing pieces. Anything that you've ever seen, honestly, that, like, at any of the award shows, the music award shows with, like, a, fairly, big names as far as, like, leather goods go that are wearing those, most of those will come from him. So that's what I'm saying. Like, he does the most amazing work. He gets crazy hardware that you won't see, or he'll have it made. He works out of this small shop, but he's so, oh my gosh, he's just amazing. Good. Just amazing.
And what are some ways that people can purchase? Give me kind of the rundown for people to be able ultimately be able to go online and purchase Euphoria clothing.
Yeah, you can go to euphoriathebrand.com, so www.euphoriathebrand.com. You can also go to, obviously, Euphoria Clothing on Instagram. If you see something there, we always post a few things there as well. You're more than welcome to go ahead and click on there. We also do send out, if you want to hit us up in a message, we will definitely send you out a discount code with some little secret stuff in there. So take a look at those. We're coming up with some really great marketing ideas as far as what we're doing to really get some people really excited for this coming summer.
Awesome, Lala. I want to thank you for your time to being on the air with me today, and look forward to having you in the studio here to talk more. Tell Claire I said hello about
I shall.
the Euphoria clothing brand, a very nice artistic brand straight out of the Northwest here. What are some ways that people can contact you? Not obviously we're not going to give out people's phone numbers, but are there social avenues or website placements?
Oh yeah.
Go ahead and give me
those. Like I said, it's the same thing. Just euphoriathebrand.com, Euphoria Clothing on Instagram, Euphoria Clothing on Twitter, social media, same everything. All the social medias are pretty much the same. They're all located underneath our information there, so you can just go ahead and just click it, and it'll go right to it.
Well, I want to thank you again for your time. Looking forward to keeping in contact, and I want to come down to wherever the distribution center is, or the showroom, or wherever I need to come and see some of the new pieces, so I can be one of the first to wear them and get them up on the social and talk about them on the air for you guys. So I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're actually got a new little office coming up here pretty soon in Georgetown, so I have to invite you down when it's ready.
There you go. Lala from the Euphoria Clothing brand. Thank you for joining us here at Studio 110.live. We'll be in contact soon. Thank you.
You got it. Thank you.
That was Lala, Euphoria Clothing brand. And there's just so many amazing fashion designers that are really doing it out here. From we've got so many on the air too. We got Casual Industries, we got Euphoria Clothing, we got the Oi brand. There's so many more, and I don't want to forget anyone else. And if I forgot you, then my apologies. But it's a busy show, lots of guests, and you got to be, you just got to be in the spur of the moment. So that's the spur of the moment for me. Just giving kind of the top three. And a shout out that I got to give. I got a couple shout outs real quick before we get the next special guest, and that's my guy, DJ Nasty Ness from Los Angeles. Going to talk some music. But my guy, Sam Al-Hadaf. Sam Al-Hadaf, one of the special, everybody's special, but one of our special daily viewers. And congrats to him. He just was named out of like 10,000 plus contractors here in the Northwest. He was like ranked like top 15. So you're doing something right when you're beating out the competition like that. So I know you're watching and listening, Sam. And with that being said, there's a couple of tasks that need to happen around the house. So now, next time I call and need assistance with this type of plug, put the tool belt on, put it in the back of the truck, drive as fast as you can over to the house, and let's get these things repaired ASAP. Sam Al-Hadif Construction style. So there's you've never been given such a plug on a show. So shout out to Sam. Sam, you're continuing to do it out here. Looking forward to having you here in the studio, letting you know everything that we're doing here on the east side with FutureNet, my guy Ryan, and we're doing some big things out here. So we'll have to get you in here soon, and you'll have to join the team and let you all know what we're doing. Jay-Z, switching from Sam now. So Sam, hopefully you have just a huge cocky smile on your face. Jay-Z gave Bow Wow some life-changing advice, and we'll kind of touch on that very quickly here before we get Nasty Ness on here. If my, Erica, my show producer, did fix my my computer here, but of course it froze up again. So we'll have to get one of our engineers here to fix my computer, because I can't fly the airplane without the right tools. All right, so let's get that fixed. Everybody listening in the back room, and excited to have my guy Nasty Ness on. He surprised me. Flew up for my big old launch party this past Saturday. Of course, Ryan Conley, FutureNet, and it was a great party. We had some great speeches. We had a lot of good celebrities. Also want to shout out Abigail Miss Washington. She's having her event up here at Studio 110.Labs headquarters. That's going to be happening this Sunday. It's unfortunately an invite only, so the only way you'll really be able to get your way in here is by standing at the door. And if you just happen to impress Abigail, which is hard to do, she may be nice and allow you up. But don't count on it. Don't count on it, because we are quite the secure facility, like we need to. Like, that's just what we got to do around here. And shout out to the whole team, man. We've got a lot of things in play right here at our headquarters here, where we broadcast the big show from, and super excited for the rest of the show this afternoon. Let's kick it off though right now with my guy Nasty Ness, a legend in the music business. We're going to call him right now live on the air, and we will spend some time talking to Nasty Ness.
Hello.
Hello. I like the ringtone. I like the ringtone. In fact, everybody listening just had an opportunity to hear your ringtone live on the air. So you're like, it shouldn't surprise anybody. I mean, you're a legend in this business. So why wouldn't you support another legend out there and utilize that as your ringtone, right?
Oh, am I on the air right now?
Yes, you are. Yes, I go on.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah, I go on 1 to 3 Monday through Friday. I thought you knew that. So.
Oh, because I'm watching you on. Oh, aren't you on the air right now talking to DZ? Or is that old?
Oh no, that was a couple weeks ago. You must be watching. You must be watching a previous show. No.
Oh, I thought I was watching a live show. Okay, well here, let me turn that one off.
Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah, we're live on the air here. So.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. What's going on? What's up, Seattle?
That's Nasty Ness. And it was just, I feel like it was yesterday, but time flies so damn quickly. It was just last Friday, man, that you were in the studio with me. Know. And I'm looking at the chair where you're sitting, and the chair is empty at the current moment until my next guest come in. But my guy Nasty Ness was sitting right there, and then the High Children were in here, and it was just a great show, man. Jason had his drum machine out and his sound effects, and we were rocking, man. It was a great show last Friday.
Yeah, that was lots of fun, man. The most fun about the whole thing was it was Erica's idea for me to come up there and surprise you, and then I surprised you. Came all the way from L.A. Surprise!
I mean, I honestly, to this day, people are still bringing it up to me. I walked into Substation. We performed there 8 days ago, not yesterday, but the previous Thursday. Substation, Hip Hop 2.0. We had Trash by Tony out there. We had several fashion designers out there. It was a great event. And I walked into the venue, and I honestly thought I was dreaming. I see Nasty Ness sitting in one of the booths with his, with the Nasty Ness iconic look, the Adidas, just like Steve Lobel, and, the glasses and everything. And I said, oh my God, Nasty Ness is here. Like, because I always know every time you come up, I mean, like, you and I are extremely close. We talk practically every day. And
Yep.
and then I walk into the venue and you're sitting right there.
Hmm. Well, remember I told you I left a hint that I was coming up on Facebook and Instagram. I took a picture of a guy at the airport shining my shoes without me with my shoes on. He was just shining my shoes, and then you can see it's an airport, a terminal with gates A, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So, so I put, getting ready for the weekend. And I just left it at that, and I was hoping you'd see it, and then you probably call me and say, "Hey, Ness, what's this I see at the airport?" But you didn't see it.
No, I did not see it. Luckily, I didn't see it because then the surprise probably would have evaporated pretty quickly. So
I would have just said that's an old picture. I would have lied.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's up?
Or you could have just said you could have said you were going anywhere in the country because you do travel a lot. You're always doing speaking engagements, and you're on the road practically all the time. So I wanted to get you on for a few reasons. First off, I wanted to thank you again sincerely for coming up last weekend and surprising the hell out of me and coming up and supporting my show, coming on the air with me, coming to my launch party. It was just a really good weekend to be able to spend with you, Ness. So I definitely want to say thank you to you for making that happen. It was your birthday, and you've got a wonderful wife, and your wife allowed you to come up here and spend the weekend with your boy Dirty Harry.
Word.
And so kind of moving past that, because I haven't really had an opportunity to thank you for that. There's always things to be talking about in the music business, and you've been around for a long time. You were one of the pioneers for hip-hop, not only here in the Northwest, but nationally as well. You've worked with so many artists. You've created so many relationships. You've given so many people their starts, their beginnings, including myself and Sir Mix-a-Lot, just to say a few. With that being said, you and I are co-managing a local group up here called the High Children, and let's kind of kick that off and talk about how that came into play, how you ultimately discovered them.
Well, years ago, when I had my radio show on KCMU, it was called KCMU Rap Attack. Every other week, I would play local music, a half hour of local music. It's called Local Music Spotlight, and I used to play the High Children on my show back then. And then 15-something years later, I get a gig on powersradio.com, and they were live streaming music 24 hours a day. My show only came on Sunday nights, called the Rap Attack, where I play old school music. But their regular format, they played all the latest hits and stuff, and they kept playing this one song called I Feel, and it was really dope. And I go, wow, I know who this group is, man. I had no clue, so I just called up the person in charge at Powers Radio. I think you know him, too. And then I found out that it was a group called High Children. And then they directed me to a guy named Dominic and I go way, way, way back because he tried to steal one of my mixtapes from me, but we're still friends, though. And he told me, hey, Ness, that's the High Children. I go, wow, they're still around? So anyway, I got a hold of the High Children, Jason and Jamal, and just so happened Jamal and I go way, way back. I knew him since he was a teenager, and now he's probably in his late 50s, so I've known him for a long time. And, yeah, man, I asked him, I said, hey, you ever thought about getting your record promoted to college rap radio nationwide? Because the college radio, they'll play your music, even though they may only be on once or twice a week. It's a lot easier getting your music heard on those stations opposed to getting your records heard on a mainstream radio, where basically you got to pay to get played or you just got to be, I don't know, man, it's just almost impossible to get played. That's why you hear the same songs all the time on mainstream radio.
Right.
Anyways, so I gave it a shot, and what do you know, I Feel went #1 on the National College Rap Radio charts, and that kind of gave me a sign like, man, my DJs are feeling this. And then we put out another single, and then another single, and next thing I know, they kept going #1, and the next thing I know, we were on Sway in the Morning Show in New York. Man, a whole lot of things have happened in the 1 year that I've been with them, and now we've got labels and people hitting us up left and right, asking how they can help or what they can do to help us or, sign this, sign that. So a lot of things are happening, and it kind of reminds me of when I was part of Nasty Mix Records in its early days with Sir Mix-a-Lot. In the beginning, everyone kept saying no, 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 except for Seattle. But even some of Seattle kept saying no to us. But I refuse to believe that. I'm like you, Harris. We don't take no for an answer.
Right.
We try to turn that no into a yes in a positive way.
Correct.
And it just brought back memories, and I just felt, wow, I think Mix-a-Lot with Mix-a-Lot, we went gold and platinum. And I really feel the High Children accomplish the same thing as we did with Sir Mix-a-Lot, go gold and platinum, because they're really different, and people love them when they see them, and I sure do, and I'm like their biggest fan. So that's kind of how that all happened. And then, of course, I brought you along and said, we need another. If people know who Jerry Heller is, Jerry Heller was the manager for Easy and NWA, and Harris reminded me, Dirty Harry reminded me of a Jerry Heller, a Jewish guy, strong motives. He doesn't take no for an answer. And he can make you sign a contract even if you don't want to sign it. that's Dirty Harry. That's Dirty Harry right there. But other than that, Dirty Harry is also honest, reliable, smart, loving person. Someone I believed in over 20-something years ago. And then I said, you need to meet with these guys and myself, and I want you to be a part of this project. And yeah, there you go. Now you're part of the High Children.
And it feels good, man. It was an honor to get that phone call from you that day where you said, Dirty, I want your assistance and I want your scope into the business to be able to get these guys on the pathway that you and I have been creating for them. And, with that being said, Nastiness, it must put a smile and it must make you happy overall to know that our group up here, and there's a lot of talent up here in the Northwest. There's a lot of talent. But with that being said, not a lot of people have the opportunity to have their record being played into power rotation on our buddy John McDaniel station, C89.5, damn near 28 times a week. I mean,
I know.
That must make you feel good.
Well, John and I go way, way back when with National Mix Records. We didn't just have Sir Mix-a-Lot on our label. We had artists like Four Way, Mario. We had other artists on our label, and he used to play our records on C89 back in the days. And here I am calling him 20, 30 years later and say, hey, John, remember me? and he said, yeah, I've never done him wrong, man. And he listened to the High Children's music for me, and then I said, hey, can you pick one and possibly give us some airplay? And that airplay led to where it's at now. I mean, number 14 on the media-based charts. It really helped a lot, and it's all about relationships, man. I mean, and I tell you, you and I both together, our relationships with a lot of these people in high positions not only helps the High Children, but it helps every artist that we work with.
Yes.
So, that's why I tell all the other artists, don't talk behind my back about Dirty Harry, because you know what goes around comes around.
And hopefully no one's doing that. There's nothing negative to say about me. So if they are, if they are, then I think Jay-Z always told me this the best. I'll never forget. Jay-Z always told me, he said, you know what, Dirty Harry, you're doing something wrong in life if they're not talking about you. And I believe that. I believe that royally. So, and that's from Jay-Z. So.
All right. Well, there you go, man. And because I remember 20 plus years ago, when people didn't know who you were yet. And then they would talk about you, and I say, hey, look, don't do that. That's my boy. And one day you're going to be asking him for a favor, and he's going to remember you, So anyway.
And those people, and I remember a few people that, doubted me and questioned you. And then I remember them reaching out to me throughout the years at the station and even now. And, I remember who I need to remember ultimately, and that's the business that I'm in. Also with that being said, the High Children have teamed up with our help and efforts with my boy Jay, who represents Fan Stereo out in New York, to be able to acquire their own headphone brand. So just another really cool aspect to the High Children's success out here in the Northwest. Now having Fan Stereo on that side, which has led to, and which will continue to lead to, relationships like with Sway, who you have a very good relationship with out there at Sirius, and all the guys out there on the Sirius radio team.
Well, we also have a new relationship with a guy by the name of Tootsie Borromeo. He's very well known for throwing a lot of Filipino gigs in clubs in Bellevue at the Parlor and at the Stone Lounge. And he loves the High Children. Matter of fact, if I'm correct, May 18th, and I'm going to do my best to fly up to Seattle for that show. It'll be Rocky Sandoval. He's a local Filipino artist. Will be performing at the Stone Lounge, but opening up for Rocky, you get to see the High Children, and that's in Bellevue. So if you're not doing anything, May 18th, Friday night, Stone Lounge, come say hi to me and Dirty Harry and meet the High Children, and you'll see what I'm talking about when you see them perform.
Yeah, that'll definitely be a good show. That's a good venue out there, and just shows you, man. You know, when you don't burn bridges and you keep relationships intact, and you're just a good person all around with good communication skills. You get people just reaching out like that to have our guys, be able to have the success that they have on stages and at festivals and on the radio and at appearances. So it's just all around a good luck. All right. In addition to the High Children, I know there's some other artists that you do work with here in the Northwest and nationally. And let's kind of touch base and discuss those other artists that you're currently working with as well.
Well, I have my own business. It's online, rapattacklivs.com, rapattacklivs.com. It's the only chart in the world where you can see what's hitting on the underground independent music tip. The top 30 will tell you what's hitting. These are unsigned artists, and you'll see who's who on there. And, one thing I love about your show, Dirty Harry, was because I thought I was actually watching you live, and you were talking to DZ.
You must be watching. That's an older show, so you must be on my YouTube channel right now, and you must be on an older show.
No, I went on Studio 110 live, and it said click here. So I clicked on that button, and next thing I know, he was on there. So I thought I was watching live. But one thing he did say, because you asked him about Seattle radio, and he goes, "Well, I really don't have much to say about Seattle radio because no one plays me because there's no radio station in Seattle that'll play me, Unlike when I was on the air, I played a lot of local music." So he was giving you props because it shows. He was saying shows like your show, Dirty Harry, where you can, have local music artists on there. It doesn't have to be hip hop; it can be R&B or whatever. It can even be Mrs. Vietnam, like you had recently. So your outlet is great for that. And as far as local music, I've put on the map Tacoma's Criminal Nation, High Performance, Kid Sensation, E-Dog, and of course Sir Mix-a-Lot. But moving forward to 2018, I still show props to my own hometown. I made a commitment that I'm not just going to work at Jay-Z or Public Enemy or Onyx, those big groups. I'm going to still also help my local town, Seattle. And right now I'm working with Chevy Shan, Beat That Track, Marquis, Huey P, who's really his new single, Not Today, is really getting a lot of love with my DJs. The Flight Boys, who you've met, M Deuce, and of course the High Children. So that's more than a handful of artists locally that I'm working with.
No, your plate is definitely full. I got the legend, I got the iconic name Nasty Ness on the air with me here right here at Studio 110.live. He's the one that opened the door for me, believed in me years ago. With that being said, since we are a national show, what other national artists are you currently working with, or that's on Nasty Ness's radar right now that your team could potentially be reaching out to have a conversation with you, Nasty Ness?
Well, one thing I like is working artists that no one has ever heard of, and then a year or 6 months later they've heard of them. But some of the groups that you've heard of that I'm working now that was big back in the 90s and making a comeback are the Loonies, Onyx. I'm also working with a group called the Jamo Gang, which features Razcast, who's recently in Seattle, El Gaunt, artists out of L.A., Arash, artists out of the Bay Area, Krita, and the list goes on and on. I was there when Lil Wayne and Kendrick Lamar, all these guys weren't getting a lot of airplay on the radio except with my college radio DJs. So, like I said, go to rapattacklivs.com, and you can see who's sitting on the underground tip. And that's what I love. I love seeing all these new artists come up, man, because nowadays, man, it doesn't even seem like you really need to be signed by a label anymore. A lot of these people are doing it themselves.
Yeah. And and we saw the success. Yeah. We saw the success, with Macklemore, for example. He's a prime example for, signing a small deal with Warner Brothers, But by him being independent, it's allowed him to keep a lot of that money from all those shows and all those albums.
I know, man. Isn't that something? So what else is going on, Dirty Harry? I don't want to make your listeners bored.
Oh, they're never bored. They're never bored. This is a highly entertaining show. We always have. Yesterday, I had KJ Saka in the studio with me yesterday. Definitely, arguably, and respected as one of the top drummers.
The drummer, right?
Yeah, top drummers in the world. So it was great to have him on. And before you today, I kicked it off with Lala from the Euphoria clothing brand. We had a nice fashion segment where we talked about just fashion, how important fashion is in any business. Whatever kind of obstacle or illustration that you're trying to create that pathway for yourself. You got to look right. If you're going out to the clubs, you're going out to the lounges, you're going out to the bars. You want to look right, and speaking of fashion, Ness, you've definitely stepped up your fashion game recently. I mean, you always.
Well, you know why? I see. If people knew what you looked like 20-something years ago to now, man, you look like a GQ model. And over the last year or two, I've been watching you on the way you dress, and I started thinking, you know what, man, I gotta get out of this. I'm always used to wearing, a white tank top. They call it a wife beater, but I feel weird using that term now, wife beater. But you're used to seeing me with that and sweatpants, dark glasses, and jewelry, and kind of look like the Italian mafia.
Yeah.
So they go, well, I'm Filipino. I'm not Italian. I'm not in the mafia anymore. Not that I really was, but I just saw how you dress, and a lot of cats probably make fun of the skinny jeans, but for me, since I'm a big guy, skinny jeans make me look skinny. So I started trying them. Yeah, I started trying them on. And when I look at my picture, I go, wow, I don't look overweight anymore. So that was the secret on why I changed my wardrobe, so I look thinner. But a lot of it I owe to you, watching you, man. And can I tell you something, man? You made my dream come true being at your party last weekend. So you're hyped up because you met the best drummer in the world. Me, I got to sit and take a picture with, and I'm going to say, because I'm married, she's Mrs. Vietnam.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what that means to a guy like me to take a picture with Mrs. Vietnam? Dude, man, that was the highlight of my whole life.
Oh, nice. Well, I'll have to reach out to her. I'll have to reach out to her and tell her that that was. I had no idea. I saw you guys take the picture, and she's definitely a big fan of the show. She's already been in a few times. She's expressed that she wants to come back again real soon. So maybe next time, maybe next time she's on the air with me, we'll get you on the line, and you can chat it up a little bit if you want. So.
Oh man, I'll probably be so nervous I won't even know what to say.
Well, you're no rookie at getting nervous in opportunities like that. That's for damn sure. What advice, Nasty Nest, do you give to a lot of the upcoming new artists when they're reaching out to you, asking you for your assistance to be able to become like the next High Children, the next Sir Mix-a-Lot, the next Macklemore? What's that kind of key, crucial advice that you put into play when you're looking to sign new artists?
Well, you know what? I know a lot of people are hating on Kanye, but he said something recently that made a lot of sense about his new album. Don't just talk about getting high, bling bling, screwing all these women and all that. Be different. Talk about something different. And one thing the High Children, what they did is they talked about something different. They're a fun, feel good group who incorporates fashion with their music. And they're honest, good, solid guys, man, when you listen to their music. I think a lot of it is what they talk about in their music, I mean, I don't even smoke weed, but there's a song out that Busy Bee has. Busy Bee is one of the original hip-hop pioneers, and he has a song called Smoke On. And I think the only reason why I like that song is because they used the original sample by the Floaters. That was a big hit in the 70s, and it went, float on. But in his lyrics, he goes, smoke on. Something like that to me is kind of funny. But, be a little bit more original in your music. Talk about something, uplift somebody, and also make sure you have a radio version. So like I said, when I was listening to the wrong show of yours with DZ, his music is really dope, but, my DJs won't play it. You know why? Because the version you play had a lot of F-bomb words in it, So it would be safer to always have a clean radio edit if you're really going to promote the record, as well as your dirty version. Because if they want a dirty version, they'll ask for it. I get DJs that ask them for the dirty version, but majority of them will only play the clean version. And that's the number one rule. If you're going to want me to promote your record, make sure you have a clean version.
Do you still advise, a lot of these newer artists to still press up CDs? I mean, you and I both know that the CD game is completely,
That's a good question.
Practically obsolete. It's obsolete.
You know what? At your party, and I'm not going to mention names, but she was handing out her CDs, and I go, honestly, I'm going to tell you, this day and age, because I said to her, I said, you must be kind of near my age, because the millennials, they don't even, it's really weird, they don't even know what a CD is, or they don't, you know what I mean? It's like, it's not even worth having now, unless you're like over 40 or something, because I still use CDs, but the kids nowadays, and that's who buys your music, they don't listen to CDs. They don't use CDs. The smartest thing to do, which the High Children did last year at the Urban Network Conference, is they passed out their music and their bio and pictures. Everything was on a one small, tiny flash drive. And if you just buy one flash drive, it has so much memory on it, you can put as much stuff on it as you want. But the thing is, you can just put it in your pocket and walk away. You don't have to worry about carrying CDs. I remember the days when we used to pass out vinyl. When I used to promote some mixer, I had to carry all this vinyl in the bag, to pass out vinyl. Then it came down to cassettes. Then it came down to CDs. And now I believe flash drive, or get their business card and email them the MP3, digitally. I think that's the smartest way to do.
Because there's really no secret. There's no secret right now in the playbook when we all know that all the new automobile makers, they're not putting CD players in cars anymore. So that's kind of
a good example was Atlantic Records. My guy Sam Crespo, he's one of the top promoters at Atlantic Records in New York. So I said, hey Sam, I need a new Cardi B album. Can you send me the CD? Here's my address. He put LOL. He goes, we don't make CDs anymore. I can email it to you. And I felt really, really stupid. But you know what? You got to roll with the times, And what he said made a lot of sense. Plus it cut back on costs as well. But, yeah, this is not the age of CDs anymore.
Right. No, it's definitely obsolete, but you still see people selling them, and I just don't understand why. One more question: when you're also talking to national artists and artists down in Los Angeles, where you're currently based, and they kind of ask you your opinion in terms of just focusing on putting out singles and single releases, your thought process on developing that traction into place to ultimately put out an album.
I don't know. It just seems like now in 2018, it's the year of single releases. I don't really hear anybody talk about an album unless you're a Beyonce or a Jay-Z or a Kanye. Other than that, man, I don't think people are really looking out for albums. Yeah. I think the best you can do is put out a single, put out another single, and then once you have like a bunch of singles you put out, they all did well, and then sell it, and then you have an album. But in my opinion, I don't think albums are the way to go. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the business, some labels definitely focus on it when the A&R guys, the teams, are talking to the artist to put the traction into place, the flight plan into place. But like you said, a lot of them right now, they're just kind of looking for that one-hit wonder, that one talent, and to be able to do an international marketing campaign just on that one song. So I see it on both sides. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, cool, man. But hey, man, I didn't know I was going to be on your show again. You know what? Wow, I feel really special. I get to be on Dirty Harry's show again.
Well, I figured, it was actually intentional. I told Erica, my show producer, to keep the slot open because you surprised me. You surprised me last week, so I wanted to surprise you today. And that's just, I thought
you did,
and I thought I could pay back the favor. What are some ways, Nasty Ness, that people can reach out to you if they want to speak to you about some business opportunities nationally or internationally to be able to get a hold of you?
Yeah. Very easy, man. If you want to hit me up on Instagram, It's at Nastiness818. So it's one S in Ness, Nastiness818. You can find me on Facebook at Nastiness, Nestyness, or just go to my website. I get like millions of people hitting on my website because it's the only outlet to hear and see independent music. Plus, a lot of my rap radio shows are archived on there. If you want to hear me back in the days, playing all the old school stuff, just go to rapattacklives.com. Rapattacklives.com.
There you go.
And there you can hear Nastiness.
And that's the old K Fox voice coming back at it. Just a couple years down the road. So I'm sure it's a nice. You're probably sitting by your pool or wherever you're sitting right now in your beautiful home in Los Angeles. So I want to thank you for taking the time, and thank you for allowing me to surprise you, return the surprise to
excellent, man,
to coming back on the air with me, and we'll be chatting soon. So thank you again, Nastiness, for being on the air with me today.
Word up. See you on May 18th at the Stone Lounge. All right.
There you go, Nastiness. Thank you.
See you, everybody. Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye. That's good old Nastiness, the legend, the iconic figure, the man that believed in me when I was just a young kid going out to a local area high school out here by the name of Roosevelt High School. Just wanted to learn the music business, and I was relentless, and I just showed up to his office every day after school and helped organize the office. And one day he said, "You know what? Take a seat." And I had no idea what was going to come out of his mouth. But he said, "You know what? Here are some keys." And I said, "Keys?" He says, "I want you to run operations for me for my company. I'm going to have to start traveling a lot all over the country, and I want you to run it." And I said, "Man, what an honor, and what an opportunity." And that led me off to my next step in life, and that was going to Def Jam Records out here representing the West Coast for Def Jam, and then going to the radio station called Cube 93 and spending 19 years of my life at that iconic radio station. So I always do whatever I can for Ness, who did so much for me back in the day, who believed in me, and that's what it takes. I always like to ask my guests, whether they're on the phone with me or in my studio here at Studio110.live, how did they get discovered? Who was that one person that believed in them, that opened up that door, that created that pathway to ultimately be able to get them to the stardom? Because I mean that's what it is. I mean, when we're talking about the music business, that's what it's about. And also want to give a big shout out to my friend Steve Lobel, who said it so well that when people ask him, when he does interviews, international interviews, he never refers to it as the music industry. He refers to it as the music business. It's a business. It's a business where you don't burn bridges. You hopefully don't backstab people, although there's a lot of it in this business. There's a lot of it in any business out there. And you're true to yourself. You can look at yourself in the mirror when you wake up, and when you go to bed at night and you say, "You know what? I accomplished everything that I needed to accomplish for the day, and I feel good, and I'm ready to take on the next day." And I think that's some good advice to go to anybody in this business, whatever you're doing. If you're an up-and-coming artist, if you represent a label, you represent management for an artist, whatever you're possibly doing, that's the best piece of prime time advice that I can give to anyone out there. Just don't burn bridges. Stay true to the game. Stay real with yourself, and just be a good communicator. Just know what's on the pulse, know what's on the horizon, and answer ultimately what you need to answer, and just be brilliant at the basics. Be really good at what you're at. So shout out again to Nastiness. I want to thank him again for taking the opportunity. He surprised me last weekend flying up here from Los Angeles, so I had to surprise him. I purposely wanted to keep the slot open. And that's why we did it today on today's Friday afternoon show. And of course, Lala from the Euphoria clothing brand. What's better to talk about on a Friday afternoon than fashion? We all gotta look good. We all gotta look right. So you know what? I'm not much of a mind reader, but I see one of my special guests here on my show here is the legend. I refer to him as a legend because he was a big part of, even though he doesn't like to talk about it much, but I'm going to give him the appropriate credit. The one and only Jake the Professor. He's been on there with me now once previously. We had a couple good conversations, but I'm glad that I see Jake the Professor. I don't see Scott here today. Is Scott MIA today?
No, Scott's off saving the world right now, actually, and he asked me to fill in, take over reins for this one.
So you're my co-host today.
I am your co-host today, sir.
You are my co-host today, and thank you for coming out and supporting the Big Studio 110.live launch event party.
Oh man, it was so much fun. Thank you for having me. It was great.
It was a great event, and everybody came out, man. We had damn near 200 people here, and it was just an all-around good event. So
yeah, when the High Children, I mean, they blew it up. I love their set, and then the fashion show, and then there's just so many different people that were to talk to. I just was boop, boop, boop,
yeah
around the room.
And I just had Nasty Ness on the line with me. Nasty Ness is responsible for my career, Sir Mix-a-Lot, the High Children, has a fair amount to do with Macklemore. So always good. And I just kind of ended it by saying, whatever business that you represent, where it's cannabis or the music business, you keep those relationships intact. You don't burn bridges because you're going to lose at the end of the day. Who wants to lose? That's what it's about. So excited for we kicked this off last Friday. Right. Our new weekly special cannabis segment that we do here on the Big Show.
That's right. We're here to stay. The good stuff every Friday.
The good stuff. That's what it's about. And hopefully Scott is doing something like you said, really is saving the world or doing what he needs to be doing out there.
Yeah, he wouldn't miss it. He wasn't happy about not being here, but he definitely.
Well, I'm sure. Hopefully, let him know that I'll have the opportunity to see him back here in the hot seat next Friday.
Right on.
So I'm told here that since this is a cannabis related show, normally yes, I do allow this if you guys could be. Taken into full appropriate action and pride, you guys smoking. So we can do a little of that. Let's do that a little bit later in the segment.
Yeah, for sure. We have Green Rush here with us today. They're out waiting.
Cool.
But since we have a bud tender here, they thought
absolutely. Let's focus on good radio and let's focus on good Cannabis Studio 110.live radio.
Let's do it.
Jake the professor, it's always great to see you. I appreciate you coming back to the show today. And I know you're a humble, reserved, quiet guy, but I think the people that don't know need to know all the stuff that you've done out here locally for cannabis.
Real good. Thank you so much for welcoming us today. So I'm real privileged to be here with Vivian McPete from Seattle Hemp Fest. I'm also privileged to be here with my good friend Harley, who's here as a bud tender from Diego Pace there. And welcome. We're just real glad to be back here. Welcome, having time with you at Studio 110 Live.
Yeah, thank you very much, and we'll definitely want to chat with you. So you're my co-host. I always the nice thing about you is sometimes I'm not the best with names, but when you wear amazing hats like this, I never have to worry about not remembering a name. So
there you go.
Got Snog here.
You do, sir.
And Snog is acting as my first officer. Of the flight this afternoon. So let's get this kicked off. So
would you like me to introduce everybody?
I would.
Awesome.
That's what I was just getting to right now.
Awesome. So this is Vivian McPeete.
Okay.
He's the founder of Hemp Fest. Do I have that correct?
I'm one of them.
One of the founders.
Executive director.
Executive director. That makes sense.
How are you?
Hi. How are you? We haven't formally met until today. So, and I know about him, but Scott and him are more formally. They work together tightly. Scott has the High Tune stage at Hemp Fest, and so he's on the committee, and they know each other a lot better than I do. So
this is true.
But that's going to change, right?
Good.
And then so we have Harley here from Diego Pace Air. And she's going to be our bud tender of the week. We're bringing in a bud tender to just, talk about all the local shops around here.
And big shout out to my guy Alejandro. I don't know.
Right,
I'm guessing that's your boss, or
Yeah.
Alejandro's my guy. So shout out to Alejandro, and he's a part of the team here. So hopefully he's watching, and he'll have a smile on his face knowing that one of his proper pieces of illustration and one of his employees is on deck today at Studio 110.live. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, we asked for their best.
Yep.
Yeah, we asked for the best, and Jake provided. And we met Jake, like we just said, and last but not least, Yoshi Gish here, hanging out with us.
Yep. And I know you've got a great story that we kind of touched on. We didn't have much of an opportunity to discuss it last week on the show, just kind of how everything kind of came into place for you. Due to our camera angles, I know that people can't see you, but they'll be able to obviously hear you. So, and then who did you say was outside of my studio?
We've got Green Rush here today. They're outside just waiting out in the green room.
Okay.
But they're here today to talk about their brand too. We knew there wouldn't be enough microphones, so we figured we'd break it up.
Okay, great. So this gentleman right here, you introduced everybody so well and so properly. Did I hear correctly that you're kind of on the Jake the Professor's level in terms of being one of the heavy hitters, someone that you roll the red carpet out for in the cannabis scene to be one of the iconic people to launch HempFest.
Well, Harry,
you can come a little closer to the mic.
My 27th year with HempFest, and I'm the executive director.
Good.
And we're going to be putting a chimney to shame this year, man.
Good. And before I forget, people know this about me. I'm a competitive type of guy. And Scott has allowed my group that I co-manage with Nasty and the High Children to perform at your guys' stage.
Yep, that stage. Yeah.
That stage. But in addition, since I've got two of the founding members of HempFest, which attracts, how many people come out to HempFest on a normal average year?
100,000 plus.
100,000 plus. It's a big deal. It's probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest in the country. Correct?
It's the biggest cannabis rally in the world, actually.
In the world.
Yep.
In the world.
Biggest free speech event in America.
That's huge. So, if there's an opportunity, my guys expressed to me, they called me on my way into work this morning and asked if they could also maybe have an opportunity in addition to your guys' stage, which I'm very grateful and appreciative about, if they could also maybe perform on the main stage at HempFest. This is the High Children in full rotation right now, and my guy John McDaniel's radio station C89.5 28 times a week. Jason and Jamal, they were on Sway in the Morning out at Sirius Radio New York, just teamed up with Fan Stereo. So definitely a national. They're number 14 on the charts. So I don't just agree to work with anybody. So if there's that opportunity, in addition to Mr. Snog and my guy Scott's stage, it'd be good to talk to you offline, off grid, to cool. get these guys on. I just
wrote the name down. So.
Great, there you go. We're headed in the right direction. Yeah. We're headed in the right direction. So what year did HempFest originate out here in the Northwest?
HempFest started down at Volunteer Park in 1991.
Really?
And there were a lot of people laughing at us when we first started, and a lot of those people are coughing now.
Yeah. And I happen to live right down the street from there, and it's a great park. It was actually the same architect that designed Volunteer Park, designed the iconic park in New York City, and so that's one thing that a lot of people out here in the Northwest don't know, that Central Park and Volunteer Park had the same architect. So
awesome.
I was a freshman, and I'm trying to honestly remember, but I'm having a hard time remembering. I was a freshman at Roosevelt High School in '91, and I don't honestly remember the production going down up there, but I'm sure it was huge. I'm sure it was.
We had about 500 people.
Yeah.
And I remember going, dude, did you see the crowd? It was massive.
Yeah. So it must put a huge smile on your face when you're walking into HempFest 2017 or upcoming 2018 and see all those thousands of people that are having a good time. The weather's always nice. There's so many vendors out there. It's right on the water. There's so many big-time artists coming out to perform. And, it just must make you feel good.
It makes me feel great. When we started, we were the gangsters of ganja, and now we're kind of citizens. And but I feel best. I feel best when I'm walking away and nobody got hurt.
Yeah.
And we cleaned it all up.
Yeah.
And we're driving out there. That's the real good feeling.
That's huge. So what do we got on deck for this year's HempFest? What kind of special appearances or any surprises that we can unveil, or maybe we can unveil closer to the actual show, and we could promote that you're going to come back in to talk about it?
I think all the above sounds great. We'll have about 120 bands. Actually, bringing up the process, our submissions ended yesterday.
Okay.
So our entertainment committee's just getting on it. But we're working with FUBU Clothing, and we're going to bring Native American hip-hop artist Tall Paul and Danny Boy with Keith Murray and Dame Dilla. So those are some acts that I know right off the bat we'll have on the main stage. I think we're also going to have allied artist Rocky Kramer from Sweden, who's kind of a big deal these days, so I can give you those. We've also teamed up with the Kent Black Action Commission. We've registered almost just shy, about 100 shy of 10,000 people to vote at HempFest over the last couple of years.
Huge.
Our volunteer voter registration team. And we've hooked up with Black Action and got a grant, and we're going to be hitting a whole bunch of events all through the summer trying to get people to register to vote this year.
Awesome. And you mentioned FUBU, so if I understand correctly, that would be my guy Damon John's.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yep,
Damon John's brand out there in New York. I remember FUBU, back in the day when it was the brand. It was like competing right up against, Sean John and the South Pole and the Nietzsche's
and
the
Meccas.
Meccas.
They're going to be sponsoring the main stage this year.
Great. So I'll have to reach out to Damon and let him know. I had no idea that Damon. So does Damon told you that he'll be coming out, or?
I'm hoping for it.
Yeah, I'm hoping that Damon will be out. I'll reach out to Damon and let him know that now that I know that he's going to be part of it, he needs to come out and be cool if he could even say some things on the mic too, because I know he's in the process of reinventing the iconic brand FUBU, which I'm super excited to see what he comes back out. Because I remember FUBU back in the day, you know, the matching denim jackets with the baggier jeans and the jerseys. Right. And FUBU was the brand. I mean, LL Cool J, my guy, who I used to work with when I was at Def Jam Records, I mean, you know, they would be sending boxes. The bottom of the tour bus, when we would go state to state, would just be all FUBU. So, like, we would all be decked head to toe in FUBU gear, and so Damon took good care of us back in the day with FUBU. So I was just having a conversation with a couple guys that were very instrumental in launching Sean John Diddy's brand, and I'm excited to know that a lot of these brands are reinventing the wheel like they need to be doing, you know, because they were such iconic brands, and you know, it takes someone like a Damon or a Sean Diddy Combs to be able to come back out there with it. All right. With that being said, did you expect, or did you ever dream that HempFest, when we speak about HempFest as a whole, and it's not a one day, it's an event. It's like, you know, my previous Summer Jam. It's, you know, 22,000 people out of the gorge. People created it as an event. Did you ever expect it to reach the climax, the level that it is today?
Absolutely not. I mean, you know, originally it was a project that we worked a couple months on, and now we literally work all year long on it. And just the permit process takes a year, and lawyers and multiple meetings with multiple city departments. But we didn't. It was, you know, it was kind of, we were moving so fast that we had no concept that almost 30 years later we would have this massive, like, city-sanctioned event. So it's been very rewarding. And then, of course, seeing Washington State be one of the first 2 states to legalize really says it all. And so it's nothing like a little vindication.
Sure.
Because a lot of people are like, oh, it'll never happen, man. You're wasting your time. And activists don't think that way.
Right, right. Do you ever have any thoughts to be able to expand it into developing the traction into place in other markets, or you just want to continue to focus on making HempFest out here in the Northwest as large as it can be year by year by year?
I'm glad you brought that up, because we're working with FUBU. Actually, he's going to be involved in Jamaica Hemp Fest, and we're working with Scott on the Oklahoma Hemp Fest, and we've got an Oregon Hemp Fest and Vegas Hemp Fest, and so we're trying to blow it up.
Great,
because everybody's under the same constitution, and everybody's under the same prohibition.
So where are you at? Like during like it's usually 3 days, correct? Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
And so where are you? Are you walking around? Are you kind of behind the scenes, or where are you placed in the crowd?
You know, I'm not really the walk around with a clipboard kind of guy, but I do sign the permit, so I do a little bit of that. But I'm on the main stage emceeing a lot of the time. Actually, I'm kind of been the primary MC of the main stage for 27 years. And,
cool. I
got other people now kind of taking up some of the slack, mixing up. I think people probably heard my voice enough by now.
Yeah.
But you know, at some point, when you introduce a band and you've got 35 minutes, it means you can leave the stage and get 17 minutes away.
Yep.
And then you got to turn around and come back. So I can almost make it to past the Sealy stage in that amount of time.
Yeah.
So I always make a point, to check out the event a couple times during the day and just with a notebook. Make sure that everything's happening right. But it's such an easy crowd. It's such a peaceful, mellow.
Always is. You never hear about issues ever.
It's always beautiful. Usually beautiful weather. We've been smacked a couple times.
Yeah. But people still come out. People still come out and support.
That's right. It's at Seattle. So people come out with their hip waders on.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of my time on the main stage. Actually, I'm really attached to the music and to the message coming out of there. But we'll have about 5 stages this year, and then we have a 100 by 40-foot tent called the Hemposium, where we have panel discussions all day.
Oh, cool! I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
How many people then back in '91, or was it '91, or was it '90 when you guys were actually in the process of sitting down to have the meetings to scope HempFest to become what it is today? Besides you, how many people were involved in creating this huge Megatron?
We did a 6-month peace vigil occupation of Gasworks Park to protest the first Persian Gulf War, and a guy was going to put on a normal National Organization for Reform Marijuana Laws, a normal startup meeting for a state chapter. So about 40 of us showed up, and he was a no-show at this meeting at Gasworks. And so there's a guy named Gary Cook that said, "Hey, we should do a hemp fest." It was really his idea. And I was working with a group called the Peace Heathens Community Action Group, a volunteer street youth group in the University District. And so I said, he asked me to MC because I've been MCing a lot of events. I says, hey, man, you need a staff, you need security. We have the Peace Heathens, we have some radios, about 20 of us. So it's really Gary and about 3 or 4 other people, and then me and the Peace Heathens. So altogether, there's probably about 30 people in the first Hemp Fest. Now we have a staff of 1,000 people with 118 crews and a 100-person core group that meets every month of the year.
That's huge. And I know Jake the professor, you were definitely a big figure back then to get this, like I describe it. Hopefully the word Megatron is a good description to properly illustrate HempFest what it is today.
Well, certainly I've been to most of the HempFest that have been taking place over the last 27 years, but I should say that I'm here on the shoulders of Vivian, who's really started this. And in fact, Vivian got me in the industry. I pointed out today that my picture and photos in the Time magazine this month. I'm real pleased to announce.
Congratulations.
Oh, it's a big deal. I mean, I'm in the grocery line, and I could see that, hey, look, there's my picture there. So it was
that's a good deal.
It was a photograph that was taken several years ago when I first walked into the first pot shop that was being built just a few blocks up the street from my house. I didn't know the fellow who was building the pot shop, but he told me that he was the chairman of the board of Seattle Hemp Fest, and I knew Vivian for our old hippie days, and I called Vivian immediately and said, Vivian, can you please give John Davis the thumbs up for me, let him know that I'm around, I'm not a narc or what have you. And so Vivian called, I think, and told John Davis, oh, I've known Jake forever. So that was really Vivian's, I guess I owe any of this all really to Vivian.
And I didn't even have to lie.
No, he didn't, and it worked out beautifully, and it just kind of grew from there, and I went my way, and Vivian's always been an activist. I've never really fashioned myself as an activist. I just know the activist, and I support the activist every chance I get.
Well, there you go. Well, Vivian, I want to express to you, man, what an honor and a pleasure it is to have someone like yourself here on the air with me in the studio. And my show is all about cannabis and music and fashion and nightlife and pop culture and tech and automotive and food. So I like to hit it from all angles. I don't like to keep any angle out. And one thing that was really important to me when Scott approached me about putting this deal into place on Fridays at Studio110.live every Friday 2 to 3 was really getting in, like yourself, the heavy hitters, the guys that created the pathway for premium excellence like HempFest and like a lot of the events. Speaking of HempFest, one thing that I always enjoy doing when I go down to HempFest every year is just coming out and supporting and seeing a lot of the vendors. I mean, you got Casual Industries out there, a great T-shirt brand out here locally, and just a lot of vendors that, you just come out and you just support them. A lot of these vendors you don't even know about until you get out there and you see what they're doing.
Yeah, HempFest costs $800,000 to throw. It's a free event. So it's a real, it's a Jedi mind trick raising that money. And we have 400 arts, crafts, food, and informational vendors. And that's a big part of how we make it happen. So the vendors are a part of the life's blood of HempFest. I think it's the biggest outdoor head shop in the world.
You're probably absolutely right. And I see the lines, too, just not only at the food side of the vending operation, but the fashion side and just every characteristic that goes, like I said, into this Megatron, otherwise known as HempFest. One guest that I had on the air with me this week was Mike Rickter. And Rickter was on the air with me this past, I forgot, Tuesday or Wednesday. And he has a great story. Him and I competed against one another. He was on the Rock Station, and I was on Cube 93. And it just shows that, and I think he said it so well too, that you can compete against one another, but you never. And I always talk about this all the time on the show. You don't burn bridges. You keep the proper communication in effect, and it's just about cherishing relationships to its full prime capability. Because I could have never forecasted, a number of years ago that the guy that I'm competing with, would be face to face with me. He sat right there where you're sitting, Vivian, and it was a great segment. And one thing that he touched on during that segment that I wanted to bring up was just the power of cannabis. Especially when we talk about the medical side of it, the people that are really suffering, that don't have a lot of outlets to be able to ultimately make them feel better if they're suffering from whatever illness they're suffering from. And one thing that we've discussed a few times was Mike Rickter had a skin condition on his cheek. And he said, you know what, like I could go to the doctor. I've gone to the doctor in the past and had the doctor, remove it. Or I could use oil and put oil on the area that was affecting him at the time. And he did 6 applications of the oil, and it dissolved. It just went away. And when you hear stories like this, like that's powerful. Like that, I mean, that really is powerful. Like, because a lot of people don't think about all the outlets that could be provided to them. Because people just say, call the doctor's office, going under the knife, have a bandage on your cheek or whatever the case may be, or do what Rickter did and have the problem just dissolved by itself.
That was that same, like Scott was talking about last time he was here with the lady who had the chemotherapy on one side and the cancer on the other. And she used the oil and it fell out, and the chemotherapy still had to be cut out.
Yep.
And that's the great thing I think about HempFest is that, for talking off, that you guys are still fighting the good fight for the people who don't have access and don't have all these rights that we have now. In the legal thing.
It might be state legal, but we're still under prohibition big time. Just go to Idaho and you'll see how legal it is. So we hear from a lot of people, HempFest, why do the HempFest? Isn't it legal? And excuse me, but it's federally legal. And all of this could go away with a stroke of a pen.
Yeah.
And could happen for a month from now.
Yeah.
They could be closing all of the stores down. I don't think that'll happen.
I hope
think
not.
they'll put this genie back in the bottle.
Yeah.
But Harry, that goodwill you're talking about with Rickter, even though you're on different sides, exactly why HempFest has been so successful, because that's the way we've approached it as well.
Yeah.
Never assuming that the police or the city or anybody were our enemies.
Yeah.
And really meeting them halfway and walking our talk and being honest, but also not compromising our message. And now over the years, we're good friends with a lot of the police we work with throughout the permit process, the city representatives. I consider them really good friends of ours.
Yeah.
And I think some of them feel the same way. And it wouldn't be nice if our politicians could act the same way.
Yeah. When we talk about, Vivian, cannabis on a national projected, level in terms of like the placement that it needs to be, I asked one of my guests yesterday who was also, he was actually the founder of Northwest Leaf magazine. When do we expect yeah, exactly. When do we expect to see the entire country legalized, where we could have, a HempFest festival like we do here with our Northwest version, 100,000 people every year, the biggest festival in the world, originated right here in Volunteer Park in 1991, just shows the power of the Northwest. When do you think we could see it, in a multi-state effort?
Well, I think we're on our way. We're well on our way. I mean, almost every week we see, more progress. Either another state flips, or, my God, we just had, John Boehner, the former Speaker of the House, has come completely to our side. And the same week, our governor said that we have the best weed in Washington State. Sanjay Gupta came out with an article in CNN saying that cannabis could help fight the opioid crisis. Cheech and Chong complained to Stephen Colbert that pot's not edgy enough anymore. We're really breaking through some serious obstacles just lately.
Yep.
So I think we're close to critical mass to end this critical mess of prohibition.
And what do you think we're lacking out here in the Northwest when we talk about hemp and cannabis, as a whole? What do you think that, we could still continue to have to put into play to make people's job ultimately easier?
Well, first of all, I think we're lacking a legal home grow for people who aren't patients. It's nice to be able to go down to your rec store and be able to buy a gram of pot and drive off and not have to look in the rearview mirror, which is a huge deal. It's like a major accomplishment. But we also think that patients in particular that need a certain strain or are able to guarantee that their weed is organic should be able to produce it at home, and that their friends should be able to grow pot as well without fear of prosecution.
Yeah.
So that's still a big deal with us.
Yep.
We got this 280E federal income tax law, which makes it so that the pot stores the owners can't deduct their business expenses, which is insane, and they're paying up to 70% or double the normal tax rate. And that's actually an incentive for the federal government to keep it the way it is, because imagine if all 50 states legalize, but it's still federally illegal, then they're getting so much more tax revenue. So that's a big obstacle. It also forces the places to have cash on hand and to not be able to bank, which is a major security threat. So there's still a lot of work to do, and even regionally.
There you go. If you're just tuning in to the big show, Studio 110.live, Dirty Harry back at it Monday through Friday, 1 to 3 Pacific Standard Time. We're on our special cannabis segment of the show that we do every Friday, 2 to 3 Pacific Standard Time. I got Vivian, the core founder of the legendary HempFest, which originated, like he said, which I had no idea, but now I know, Volunteer Park in 1991. And today it serves over 100,000 people, and it's the biggest HempFest in the world. Of course, I've got my guy Snog. I like the hat. I'm still waiting for one of those hats. I'll take the red version when you can make me one custom, and I'll definitely wear it and support it for you.
For sure.
Got Jake the Professor and my new friend here who represents my guy Alejandro from Diego. And I'm sorry, I'm not the best with
Harley.
Harley.
Yep.
And who do we got here in the back of the studio?
This is Jason. He's just our go-to guy. He's taking pictures for us.
Good.
And
Good.
Yeah.
Well, we need those pictures because for the people that are that have more important things, which I can't figure out what they would be,
right?
To not watching and listening to the show right now. I mean, I get that other people have priorities, but you should be freaking watching and listening to the show.
Agreed.
Studio 110.live, y'all. All right. With that being said, I have a couple more questions for Vivian, and then I know I have other guests here that I want to make time for.
Yeah, we want to get Harley in with her quick.
Yeah, we will. One other question that I do want to ask, and I've asked this several times, and I guess I just have a little issue with it. And I understand why there's the red tape, and I understand why it can't be happening. But when we talk about my guy Ian from Uncle Ike's, or Alejandro from Diego, or any of the fine retail establishments out here in the Northwest, when we're just talking about being able to sell a T-shirt on the wall at these stores, we can't do it. The city, I guess, from the way I've been explained, that you almost have to have a separate location just to be able to sell a T-shirt.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, Vivian, I don't know about you, but for me, like I just don't. I guess I have a little bit of an issue with that, like how you just why there's such a big deal to be able to sell a T-shirt and some merch at your cannabis store of your choice.
Well, here there's just a ton of double standards. I-502, the state law was flawed to begin with. I mean, it's done some great stuff, but most of us pot activists don't consider this legalization. We look at it as commodification or commoditization.
Yeah.
And then the legislature gets a hold of it and tweaks it. First the governor gets a hold of the bill and just guts it. So then we pass another one. The legislature tweaks it, makes all these ridiculous things. And then you got the Washington State Liquor and Cannabis Board. And they've got their rules. And basically, I've stopped using the word legalization. I want equality. I want equality with alcohol and tobacco industry and users, so that we can have the same freedom. I mean, what's it going to hurt to sell a shirt? I mean,
exactly.
It's absurd, frankly.
It really is. It's absurd.
And you can walk down the street, smoke a cigarette, and blow it in my face when I'm standing at a bus stop, but you can't smoke a doobie out there. I mean,
exactly.
You can drink alcohol and wine on the patio of a restaurant, for example, but you can't smoke pot at any business or inside of a business.
Yeah.
Even on the premises of a business. Even if you have a liquor license, you can't even be on the property of any business, actually.
Yeah.
Unless it's a licensed business, you can't even be in the parking lot.
Right.
So we have a long ways to go.
Yeah, we definitely do.
And we've kind of made 2 steps forward, and we might be taking a step backwards with our current Attorney General and administration. But we got to keep pushing, man.
Yep.
We're not there.
Like I always say, when people say no, you got to convert that to yes and do everything that you possibly can do to convert those no's into yeses. So my co-host here, Mr. Snog, I'm sure you've got a number of questions, and the floor is yours to pick up where I left off here.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, we look like we got Yoshi Gish real quick with something to say.
Yep.
About the selling T-shirts at a pot shop, Urban Legends on 55 Bell Street has a really great selection of T-shirts and oils. CBD oils is also in the merch store.
Good to know.
I think it's like right next door to the little pot shop. So I mean, just because a store can't have it in their store, they can have a suite next door at the same address, like Suite A or B, and sell it on the side.
Gray areas, I think. Yeah.
Good.
I see it. All right, Harley. Well. Harry, what we're talking about doing is we're doing this thing. We're bringing in bud tenders every week with us.
Yes.
So they can kind of, I mean, there's all kinds of crazy stories out there. People have stories. People want to, they're. I don't think they get enough attention personally, right? So, so we're going to bring one out, and it's one up from one of my favorite places, Diego Pacer.
Yeah, Alejandro. Yep. If you can come, if you want to pull the mic closer to you, or just come a little closer to the mic so everybody can hear you appropriately. So welcome to the show. I've always been intrigued and I'm glad you're here as a bud tender for what a lot of people say the nicest retail cannabis outlet for sure in the state, if not the country. I know a lot of hard work and a lot of money went into that prime location. Let's just talk about the day in and day out of you being a bud tender. I mean, you have to deal with every walk of life. You have to know the product, front to side, side to back. I mean, you have to know every angle. You're almost like a concierge where if you don't know the answer, you don't want them to go to their smartphones ultimately and be able to get the answer. So just kind of give me the flight plan and everything that kind of goes into it on the back end when you're behind the counter serving the public and putting smiles on people's faces.
So I start off with the question, what are you looking for? Most people come into a cannabis shop and you would have no idea how many people don't know what they're looking for or what they're trying to get out of an experience. So first I have to figure out what they're looking for, what they're trying to feel, what they're going to be doing today. You know, when they're smoking, that really helps me guide them into a more personable experience. And then the second question is, what's your budget? We don't want to push something, you know, the $60 eighth on the guy that maybe has $10 in his pocket, you know? So we try to make it work for both crowds. And that's probably one of my favorite things about where we work. We may be really fancy, but we have that $5, $6 gram for any guy on the street, you know what I mean? We cater to both crowds.
Sure.
And it can be difficult dealing with both crowds back to back, because you go from maybe upselling something that you personally wouldn't smoke to having to force a sale onto somebody else maybe that was already industry. So they're actually grilling you when you're trying to make a sale. So you can go from maybe the easiest sale to one of the most complicated sales, all within a 5-minute interaction with two different people. So it's pretty hard to be up on there and have like an encyclopedia basically in your head between strain knowledge, prices, where everything's located, how things are going to make you feel, being able to explain, because Washington State does not have open packages. Yep. So being able to explain what the smell and taste are like, and also keeping up with those strains as they come in. I personally have to smoke a lot of weed to, you know, be able to give. Not that that's a bad thing, that I have to smoke the weed, but
just one of the perks that goes with the job. I mean, how many people can be in jobs today where, hey, like let me give it a quick try, and I'll let you know, hey, my thoughts, and you know, you might, you know, it's product placement. You know, you go to Nordstrom's and you see a necktie and you see the salesperson, you know, put the tie on or the suit blazer, and it gets you sold. I mean, sometimes it's easy as that.
When I first started out in the industry, it was, I feel like maybe a little bit more lax. It was right when medical went to recreational.
If you can come a little closer to the mic for me.
I used to go into work and I'd be a little bit blitzed. I'm sure that was still probably not on the legal side of things, but people would just see how high I was and go, I want whatever you smoked. So that was the easy sales, you know, when I first started. Now I figured it out. Don't be stupid enough to be caught at work high. You know, that's against the law. That's how you lose your job. And my job to me is pretty important. It was pretty hard to get in the industry in the first place.
Yeah, I'm sure it's very competitive.
So sampling outside of work, being able to remember taste profiles and how I felt on it, and being able to describe it back in a fun experience. Like one of my favorite methods to say is like comedy movie high. You know, you're going to get giggly from this, or this one's going to give you the munchies. You might feel like cleaning your house on this one. I try and find those descriptive words and then pair them with those strains. So then I kind of like pinpoint them on my head when someone asks, oh, we're going out to the park today. What would you suggest? I can say, you know, chocolate Thai perhaps. This is very energetic. It's got mocha undertones, pairs well with coffee if you guys want to grab coffee while you're out. Like,
nice.
I have to constantly remember all these things.
So what would you recommend for a guy like myself, regardless of what I do in my personal life, but if I want to put my gardening gloves on and mow the lawn and, you know, really clean up the garden and make it look just spectacular, what strain would you offer someone like myself?
Jack Herrera. That one gets your heart pumping, makes you feel like you got to clean the house. It's really piney, and I feel like with piney things are more invigorating. Like when you first walk into the forest, you feel that like tingly, the uplifting feeling. Well, Jack Herrera does the same thing for you, if not more. So
how about if I want to like you know, wax my car the self? Like if I want my car just to look like I can see the shadow of my face through the hood of my car.
Something like Green Crack or Trainwreck, where they're just super crazy cerebral, get you more than the heart racing. On top of cerebral, your brain's racing 1,000 miles an hour. I think they call it train wreck for a reason.
well, thank you for these you know, proper defined terms, because when I get off the air, my first call today is going to be Ian Eisenberg, and I'm just going to catch him so off guard that I'm going to call him up and say, hey, you know what, I want this and I want that, and I'm going to write them down just so I can because, you know, when I call him and I start spitting out these different strains and different levels, it's like, Dirty Harry, like you're talking Chinese to me. Like, you know, like that's not my expertise. I'm not a bud tender.
That's what he hires people for.
That's exactly. And that's why you're so darn good at what you do. And you represent Alejandro's team with Diego, the nicest retail cannabis location. Like I said, if not, you know, not in the state, in the whole country. How long did it take you to be able to learn the craft so you have the knowledge that you have to be able to answer any question?
I feel like I did it a lot faster than most bud tenders I meet in the industry. I've really only been in the industry officially 2 years now, and I started off at a recreational shop for about 6 months and then moved to a glass shop for 6 months, and then now I'm at Diego. So I really didn't have too much experience, but in those short time, I absorbed a lot. I feel like I tried a little bit harder outside of work to learn these things because I run into bud tenders who have been in the industry for 6+ years who can answer questions for me or tell me the same things that I know. When I'm asking for something
That's the worst.
specific, I'm blown away, and I'll ask someone, how long have you worked here? Or ask the coworker, like, how long has that guy been here? And when I hear, 6+, 5+ years, even 4 to me, like, that's insane. That's double the time. I in 2 more years, hope to be at, expert level where I can answer and tell you what receptors the cannabinoids are going after. I'm barely touching my toes into that, I want to be and have that goal to be a lot more advanced. So I honestly get a little bit bummed out when I've seen people who have had this opportunity for so long that don't educate themselves so they can educate the public. It's very frustrating because now I have to re-educate, the consumers that they may have educated. And that's a frustrating conversation when someone first comes in and says, I want the highest THC, what do you got? That's the worst argument I could have with someone. THC is definitely not the most important thing.
So that's a prime example then of what gets under your skin if you walk into Diego and start talking like that. That'll get you on a whole new level. So.
I gotta just stop, pause, and re-educate them. Forget everything you've ever heard about THC and let me restart.
Yeah.
Wipe that memory.
Got to definitely do a 360. So does Alejandro give you like a test or a quiz that you have to pass in order to become a bud tender, or are you just like he'll just come in and start hitting you with random questions?
I want to say there was like test or anything. He comes in and will occasionally ask like what's good for this when he's doing his personal shopping, or if he needs me to help out a customer that he's also brought in.
Okay.
But there's no quizzing, or when we first have our interview, they ask our basic knowledge, what's going on, what strains we know, what we're at educational wise, and then the managers and whatnot will help fill in what's missing.
Cool.
They're way more educated than, that's where I hope to be in, the next couple of years is where they're at, where they can help manage the people that are out there.
Good. I'm glad you have those career goals. One more question before I transition here to my co-host of the hour. Give me kind of the top 3 or top 5 best sellers right now on the shelf at Diego.
Durban Poison from TJ's won Best Tasting Weed on Earth in 2016 from High Times Magazine. So that one's, I don't even have to tell people that much to get them to buy it. It's delicious itself. Anything from Treehawk right now. Treehawk's always trending. My personal favorites are Chocolate Thai, just real nice sativa. It's Choclope and Thai Stick. That was just a good way to get your morning started. And then we just brought in yesterday Mad Mark, and just from their following and how big of a hype they have, I have a big feeling that they're going to be the next hype. Right now it's going to be the exotics, but I think Mad Mark's about to get up there with exotics and compete, so it's exciting. And
I would imagine, one of the strong perks to the job is being able to try things out. Probably, I don't know if you're allowed to take things home and try them out before they hit the shelves, or how the team kind of puts the proper motions into place.
Generally, a vendor will bring in samples, and as bud tenders, we sample them and say yes or no if we want them on the shelves. They vote that in. Then when they bring them on, we get the initial order, we all get samples. So pretty much all the staffs, even our door guys, get samples so they know what they're talking about when customers are asking.
It's kind of like the fashion business, before the clothes come out, you guys, get a couple hats here, a couple T-shirts, a couple hoodies, and you'd be able, you can wear stuff, get it on IG, and that's product placement,
That's another great thing is all the swag, all the T-shirts. We may not be able to sell them, but all the companies get to bring them to us bud tenders, so that's a great, most of my clothes are weed T-shirts right now.
Nice. So the back room must be like a fashion warehouse, huh?
We got a lot of backup leftovers for the ones that are too big for everybody on staff.
Well, thank you for being here today. Thank you for representing my guy Alejandro's quite exquisite brand called Diego here at 4th Avenue, correct?
Not to mention, he's only, 24, 25? He's a year older than me, so that blows me away. I have goals to be in management in the next 2 years, but he's already owning a store at my age, so that blows me away. That's impressive.
He's definitely doing it. He came to I allowed him to speak on the mic at my launch party this past Saturday. He had some very nice words to say. It's always nice to see Alejandro in a nice suit and tie, probably not the regular daily attire that you see Alejandro in. So it was a good look. So thank you. Thanks for coming in and representing your brand. I see some people here in the studio. Snog, if you want to welcome them in.
Yeah, we're going to kind of switch out. We're going to switch out a little bit so we can give Green Rush the center stage here real quick. But this is a company, the local cannabis company called Green Rush.
I would like all the guests, though, I would like them to stay in the studio, but if they have to go in the green room, I want to be able to do some pictures and some production.
Yeah, I was going to tell you guys, I was going to say thanks first for coming on. I was so awesome. And then, if you guys could wait, because we'll all do pictures at the end for promotion.
Got to do the full recap for everybody that
thank you so much, Vivian.
That missed it. All right, so let's switch the deck here a little bit and get the next group of people here in the studio that need to come on here for our cannabis special
hang out
segment.
with us, Harley. Well, but just kind of hang out for a second. We're gonna give if you could, you guys go ahead.
So we're live on the air. We're transitioning right now. Studio 110.live, our special segment that we do here Monday through Friday. We do it especially on Fridays. My guy Scott McKinley. We kicked this segment off last Friday. Of course, Snog and the whole group. Man, we can't be ignoring everything going on in the cannabis scene. And as we continue to move forward with everything that's happening, so we don't want to miss a single beat on that. All right, I see some new guests here,
yep.
and I see some fun toys that you brought in that we'll have an opportunity to touch on. So welcome everybody here to the studio here.
Not a problem, man. This is Dab Life Mike right here. He's our extractor. We got the owner of Green Rush, and this is Mark, and we got Holly, who's pretty much the day-to-day operations team leader. Awesome. Of the whole thing. And yeah, they're here. They're just here to talk about their brand. Actually, what they brought here was, we're hoping to get Harley's impression of our product, because we're actually not in Diego Pace area yet. And so,
today would be the day to sell her, so
right,
she can literally call Alejandro while we're all live on the air or after the show to be able to say all right, I got the next strain or the next piece of product. Cannabis related, obviously, that needs to come into Diego. So today couldn't have been a better day to do that.
Exactly. So before we get to that, we're just going to talk about the company and hang out. But I just figured we'd keep her here, and she's great. You did great, by the way. It was so awesome.
Yeah, she did. She did a great job, and it's a stressful job. You have to deal with every walk of life when they come in, and you get people that probably aren't looking to chit chat, and they just know what they want, and it's just kind of a 1-2 bam punch.
Well, this is our first bud tender of the week, and so it was great. And I didn't know what to expect. We kind of just did it. So and it'll just keep getting better and better. But Green Rush, these guys have been killing it, man. And I used to grow for Green Rush for I don't know 8 months or something like that, and now I'm doing the sales. Mark's been doing it for much longer than I have, and I'll let him talk about it right now.
There you go. Well, welcome to the show. I like the jersey.
Thank you, sir.
I hope we have a better outcome this year. Of course, referring to the Seahawks, and we're not left in the dust. I know they made a lot of trades this year, so hopefully we'll be a Super Bowl contender this year, and you can wear that jersey, that fine jersey with great pride and a great smile on your face, and we'll go to the Super Bowl, man.
I'm ready.
I'm ready too. No excuses. Hopefully Russell has the flight plan that he needs to have in place to make us undefeated this year. So it would be good to go. It would be a good season to do that in. So. Welcome to the show, Studio 110.live. Great to have you guys in here. I like your hat. What does that say? It says Puffy? If you can come a little closer to the mic here.
I couldn't tell you exactly what it says on my hat. I don't know off the top of my head.
It does say Puffy. Puffy the bear.
Yeah, it's supposed to be Smokey the Bear's dabby cousin, basically.
Nice.
So it's like the stoner.
There you go.
Well, you guys, why don't you tell us a little bit about where Green Rush started and
right.
Where you're at now?
Sounds good. We started in July of 2014. We received our growing permit from the state. It was my wife, my son, and myself.
Okay.
My wife was a full-time dental assistant. I was engineer at Boeing.
Okay.
The company took off fast. Our product sold out every month. We were doing 16, 18-hour days. Something had to give, so my wife retired before I did. 3 years ago. I'll be retired 3 years in July.
Great.
From the Boeing company. Took the early retirement at 55.
Yep.
Got out, took the medical. Been growing the brand ever since. We're in probably 50 stores now. Hoping to quadruple that here in the next couple of years.
Huge.
Yeah. From our standpoint, yes. From where we started, I never imagined how much work this industry is.
Yeah.
How you have to work to bring good product, be consistent every time.
And be competitive.
Be competitive. Margins are tight. Everything's important. Packaging. You have one time to hit that customer and give a good experience. You don't want to put something out there that's a bad product and then it just turns them off and they never come back again. So that's what we strive for: quality, microprocessing, low batches, high quality. Same with our extracts. Right now we're doing small batches at probably 300 to 400 grams. We're expanding our extraction operation here in the next month, where we'll be able to offer more subpar product versus what we expect on the Green Rush brand. So we have two brands. One's a St. Helens Cannabis brand, one's the Green Rush brand. Whatever doesn't make the Green Rush brand, we just market under our sub-tier brand, so that it doesn't affect the Green Rush brand.
And where's headquarters for you? Where does all the magic happen?
Our grow's up in Bosworth, Snohomish.
Okay.
Our processing lab's in Everett. We just purchased a processing lab and opened that 3 months ago.
Great.
So, yeah, it's beautiful too.
Yeah, that's the piece of the puzzle that we needed, because it's almost like a retail shop. As fast as we can bring the product in and process it, sell it, and get it out. Where on the grow side, we do 40 pounds a month. That's it. It's gone. And
how many priorities right now currently on your desk for up and coming strains and different levels of cannabis related products for people on the health side, the recreational side, whatever side they choose under your umbrella?
We mainly focus on the recreational side because of our size. We can't grow specialty CBD strains. We just don't have the room. With 2,000 square feet of canopy, we're the smallest license size that you can have in the state, which is a tier 1. So we concentrate on very high quality terpy product, cannabis, good bag appeal, and the numbers are last for us because they always come around, where a lot of people will shop for numbers. We want our customers to shop for effect, entourage effect of the terpenes and the cannabinoids in the product, the bag appeal, because the customers used to have smell jars that were available for them in the beginning. Now you don't see that anymore. So it's strictly on how it looks in the bag. We want it to pop right away as soon as they look at it, and then the taste and smell and high comes after.
So how would you kind of personally describe and define your next launching pad for you and your company?
Our next launching pad is definitely our concentrate line. So we just brought on 2 more sales guys, so now we have 3 in our team, and we want to hit 20,000 units a month, and then we want to grow to 50,000 units a month. That's our ultimate goal, is 50,000 units a month, which is pretty lofty, but for a small company, we're going to get there.
Yeah, but I mean, dude, we're killing it. I mean, honestly, this guy right here, Dab Like Mike, he's putting out some serious stuff, and so we're doing some things that not a lot of businesses. I know we're not doing anything unique to us in that industry just yet, but we are doing a lot of things that are new.
We put a lot of love into everything. Anything we put out, basically, we make sure that, we put care into it. So there's a lot of places that focus more on production, but we want to make sure that we have everything tasting really good for everybody, and we want to, make sure that they know that it was taken care of. It wasn't just, made to get pushed down the line.
Well, and it's now that I got you here, because we've been joking about this for a second. Like, can you give me a couple of things that set us apart from other people?
Well, I mean, basically a lot of the things we don't skimp on buying cheap machinery. Basically, we have everything top dollar. We use primarily everything from Iron Fist Extractors. It's a guy from Washington. Everything's USA made. A lot of people, I'd say probably 80% of labs that you go into, most of their machines and stuff is Chinese steel or things like that. So we try to support local and stuff like that, and just high quality.
That's great.
People that have our same like-minded thought of just trying to do everything to the best quality that you possibly can.
Right. I talk about that a lot with the way we store it after it's been packaged, and not a lot of people are doing that.
Yeah, we definitely. Yeah, we went out and got a temperature-controlled, wine cooler basically, so we can store all of our oil, just so it has a better shelf life, and we don't have any kind of oxidation and stuff like that. We basically just try to make sure that if there's anything that we can do, down the line, all the way from the beginning to the end, that it doesn't get just left to that'll be okay.
Right,
we
and
basically say anything that we can do better, we are going to strive to do anything better.
And we work to be more like a microbrewery of the weed industry. We're that
good
small
analogy.
We're not the big tier 3 guys, Fat Panda, Smoky Point, Northwest.
We're your Mentorum Red. We're not your Budweiser.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. And Holly, I mean, she holds the whole thing together. Congrats to you, because I know exactly, as the former grower there, I know exactly what you go through, and I just want to give you a shout out and let you give you a chance to kind of say what you like about Green Rush and
Well, thank you, Mike. I appreciate the shout out. I've been working with Green Rush for just over 2 years now, and it's been a pleasure. Mark and Teresa keep it really family oriented. I love working as an individual and not a number. And the whole team contributes to that. So
definitely. I love that. There's only how many? I mean, including me. I'm not there anymore. I'm more sales oriented. But how many employees are?
Well,
we
there? Started with 3, like I said, Teresa, Kyle, and myself. Now we're at about 11.
Well, total. That's definitely growing. That's heading north.
So. Yeah, we all know each other. It's a pretty close knit group of people. So it's a different kind of company. That's why I like working for it. I go out. I'm not a salesman. This is my first sales job. I never sold anything before. I mean, aside from being in medical, but back in those days, you didn't really have to sell anything. I walked in there and I was like, I have a bunch of weed. And they said, oh, we'll buy it. And it was literally that simple. Yep. It is a completely different ballgame now. So this is my first sales job. And I definitely don't think I could get away with selling anything that I wasn't behind 100% because I pretty much only smoke Green Rush. I can't think of the last time I smoked something else. And it's because I know what goes into it. Yeah, right.
It's hard when you know, like, okay, nobody was like, whatever, just get it in the bag. Like everybody was like, nah, man, if that's not right, it's not going in the bag.
No, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
we don't spray any pesticides at all. We use our IPM process is all predatory mites. We put over 1 million bugs in our building a month, and I have not had any issues in 4 years.
That's big.
Huge. No breakouts, nothing. So, I mean, and that's why...
You're doing something right.
Well, that's why our product makes such great extract.
It's just care. People try to ask, what's different and what do you do that there's other people that might be doing. And it's just really like, it's hard to say, oh, well, we do this specific thing different because broadly, it's just if you put care into it and you actually care about what you're doing, you will be able to make something that's good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if you just stay true to it, right? It's just like art. It's just like art. If it's like legitimate, then people are gonna feel it.
Yeah, if you want to be Burger King and just make a whatever burger, then you're gonna make a whatever burger. But if you want to make something where you're like, dude, I want to smoke that, or I want to, you know what I mean? Like, then that's our end goal. You know what I mean? I wouldn't push on anything. It's the same thing that he's saying. That I want to be able to faithfully say, like, like us. You know what I mean? Like, if you want something that's good, like, you know what I mean? Period. Anything. What do you want? It's whatever is your favorite flavor. You know what I mean? Because we put care into everything. I've seen a lot of different brands and stuff like that, and a lot of places won't show you their stuff. We give tours to people. They come through and they go, a lot of people, the first thing they say when they come down to the lab is the first thing they say is wow, and then the second thing they say is you could eat off of these floors. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, I've been to so and so or wherever, and they're like, I would not say that. We put the money into like finishing our floors and putting like quality high grade stuff so that we can sanitize everything and just have everything just the utmost quality anywhere that we can find.
Good.
We don't let anything slack.
I love it.
It'd be cool to come and get a tour of the operation.
We'd love to have you out there.
Yep. Anytime, come out the grow.
Maybe I can even do a live broadcast. Maybe I can do a live show from there.
Yeah.
We're down.
We could probably pull that off for sure.
Hey, Mark, though, we were just talking about earlier. I want to touch on too with the growing the brand thing. As someone like you were talking about earlier. About you didn't realize all these certain things that went into the company and having a cannabis company, and branding is one of them, and like growing the brand. And you talk a little bit about what because we're starting to grow with that right now, and so
so my initial volley into the industry was just to be a tier 1 grower, have 3 employees, make a decent living. Well, the market changes, prices change, competition changes. You're almost having to reinvent the wheel in this industry every 6 months as a business owner. Margins get extremely tight, so you have to think of new, you just have to think of new ways to generate
You have to
revenue.
be creative. You have to always open up the new door.
So. Right. So, growing, like Ian said when he was in here, I watched that podcast, and he says, work on growing your brand. That was his word to the producer processors, right? A lot of guys don't do that. A lot of guys drop samples off, they run, they're done. We look at the sale as being the last step in the process. So the salesman makes contact with the store, he builds that relationship with that PO or that, the person, the buyer, and introduces the product, gets to know the person, gets to know the store, gets to know the owner, and develops that relationship, and then the sale happens.
Yeah.
Instead of pushing the sale first. The sale should be the last thing that happens.
Yep.
Well, the thing is, like, that's like what we were talking about, like with branding goes and everything. I think what Ian was talking about, because I watched a bit of that show too. I've been watching pretty much every day. But
thank you.
Yeah, dude, it's great.
Hopefully, it's your favorite podcast in the world. So.
It actually is, because I don't really do podcasts before this. So you're lucky enough to be on the top of the list there. So.
I appreciate that, because really, I always ask my friends, do you still listen to the radio in your car? And and they always say, Dirty Harry, I listen and I watch podcasts. And that's just real life testimonials.
Well,
so.
It works for me. I get to work a lot from home because I have an office at home. And so while I'm making my emails and stuff like that, I'm listening. So.
Well, Mike was in here. You hooked me.
Yeah.
Mike
was in here.
Yeah. Mike and I, we used to compete against one another back in the day at radio. And we've known each other he was at the station for 20 years and I was there for 19. So he was not at that. He was in the actual business for 20, and I was at my former radio station for 19. So it was just a good conversation where we had a lot of similarities for sure.
Yeah, I was on a show every day.
Oh, you were okay.
Back in the day, yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
cool.
not on a show, but on the radio anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's
when radio was prime time.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, damn, I lost what I was gonna say there.
What did you guys? So what do I have here? I know we're getting a little bit tight on time. I'll stay on a little bit longer.
Basically,
but
just a rig. I grabbed this. Basically, it's just primarily a way that you would dab. I'm not sure where the camera is actually.
Right there. Right there.
So there we go. Yeah. So that's just a kind of a regular dab rig. Just a small.
What'd you bring in? I think it looks like diamond sauce, or is that live resin?
Yeah, we've got some diamond sauce.
Why don't you explain what you have there?
It's actually a live resin to be exact.
Okay.
So,
all right. So
this is a Perps mix. It's an in-house grown stuff, and then everything's freshly grown and cryogenically frozen, basically. And we like I said, we give it every bit of care that we can to preserve all the quality that we can down the way, basically.
Yep.
And basically, this is, so we fresh frozen, harvest everything, and then freeze it and run everything at super cold temperatures, and then all the way down the line, just do everything we can to preserve the natural terpene content and just the essence of the plant that it actually came from.
There you go. Well, I always like to.
Learning still.
I am too, man. It's been a huge learning curve for me.
Well, I've been a flower guy my whole life, and so I kind of was. I did a little bit of the BHO when I was in the beginning, but I just kind of was like. I love flower, I love smoking weed, and so I've been slowly. I'm not to where he is yet. I got my little pen and stuff like that. But Harley, are you interested in giving it a dab ski real quick?
I mean, this is.
I mean, no pressure or anything.
This could be.
I mean, this is
Well, I turned down dark dabs.
No, this is. You're not going to get that from here.
So it's dark.
Yeah, man. So
this could be history in the making, though. This could be the moment in time that the new product is officially perhaps agreed upon to be able to get one more product into Alejandro's.
Well, it's got to go through Mike, right?
Yeah, Michael makes all the decisions.
Okay. Yeah, but I can get her to bug him.
There you go.
Butter up Alejandro.
You might want to kill my mic because this torch is like super loud, so I don't want to like blow out anybody's ears on
all right.
it. So I don't know.
Now, is this oil for like a high temperature dab or a low temperature dab? What are you going for with it?
You should be lighting it while you're talking
in
about
between, basically. I would say it's kind of an, THCA you want to dab hotter to activate it, but the terps you want to have at a lower temp to taste really well. So I kind of actually like to shoot in the middle. I like to leave a little bit of a puddle, but I don't like to puddle it all the way. It's kind of a preference. Some people I know, some of my homies just do straight hot dabs. They're like, dude, I'm not about that low temp hype. You know what I mean? Other people are like, you got to waste it to taste it. So it's kind of a preference thing. You know what I mean? I like to shoot for the middle. You know what I mean? I kind of judge it off